Well, I'm sure everybody on planet Earth knows that cover of Always Something There to Remind Me from 1983 by Naked Eyes. And on the phone with us tonight, we've got Pete Byrne, one half of Naked Eyes, who you know from Always Something There to Remind Me and Promises, Promises. And Pete Byrne continues, even though his partner in the band passed away in 1999, Pete Byrne continues as Naked Eyes and released a wonderful CD last year called Fumbling With The Covers. We'll talk to him about that and some new music he's got coming out soon. So, Pete, welcome to the show, and give us a little backstory about the history of Naked Eyes.
Yeah, actually, we met right at the end of '79, and that was at the point where we both had bands, different, like, I had a power pop sort of guitar-based band, and he had a sort of arty kind of jazz rock outfit, Rob Fisher.
Right.
He was the keyboard player with Naked Eyes.
Sure.
And we both had bands that played around Bath in the West Country of England.
Mm-hmm.
And so we both knew each other. We'd done various sessions at local studios together, so we knew each other. And basically, the bands broke up around the same time, and we just ran into each other in the street and started talking and decided to get together and write some songs together. And that resulted in a really great band called Neon.
Right.
That had Gert Smith from Tears for Fears, and later Roland from Tears for Fears joined us as well. So that was a really, really killer band.
Yeah, it sounds it. I mean, it sounds like you guys split off, and you had two more great acts after.
Yeah, and I mean, in retrospect, it all happened so quickly. I mean, then it seemed like it took a long time, but then when we actually broke away, and Kurt and Roland went off and did Tears for Fears, and Rob and I started a Naked Eyes thing. It really was only a matter of months before we both had like big record deals and were in, I was in Abbey Road recording my album, and they were releasing their early stuff. So it all happened very quickly, and was it was very encouraging actually after all, years of playing in the doing the clubs and
Sure.
stuff around Bath.
What were you guys listening to around that time when you started Neon?
I was always in well, as you can tell from Fumbling With The Covers, I was into really sort of classic artists, the best, Dylan, the Hendrix, the Beatles,
right.
and, I was always into that kind of stuff. Whereas Rob was more of a sort of, keyboard oriented. But when he and I got together, immediately we started writing together things like Soft Cell, Human League, The Buggles, all those great early synth pop records.
Right.
Were happening, and of course he was way into that. I mean, he was an electronics major from Bath University as well, so he was building all these little devices for triggering synths, and so it was just a natural thing for us to start writing and recording in that vein. It was.
I was. Go ahead.
No, that's sorry, Karen.
I was just going to say the interesting thing is that you wound up having your first really massive hit being a cover of a well-known song by Burt Bacharach and Al David, which seems like an unlikely song.
It was unlikely. I mean, it's so strange how things happen. We were basically after the Neon breakup. I'd convinced a friend of mine to manage us, and he immediately paid for us to go into to a local 8-track studio, which was a big deal for us then. And we spent about 2 weeks just every day. We were in there recording. And we got to a point where we just thought, well, why don't we do a cover? Just break up the what we're doing here, and it was literally just a spur of the moment idea. But the irony of the situation was that we were never that popular in England. The single first time Always came out, it didn't do anything. They re-released it, and I think it got into just sort of scraped into the top 40. But it's difficult to know exactly why. I mean, I've always thought it was because we didn't sort of, we didn't do the costumes and the makeup and all that business. We weren't really part of that new romantic look.
Well, the other thing is MTV had just started in the U.S.
Yeah,
it had only been around for a few years, and I remember seeing that video constantly.
Right.
And it's the whole and unlike a lot of those videos at the time, which were kind of, everybody was possessed of this notion of we're going to make this abstract, surrealist masterpiece. It was actually, there was like this storyline that everyone could relate to.
Well, we were very lucky because it was just one of those things. I mean, there's so much luck in the music business, but meeting Simon Milne, who directed that, and he directed Promises, Promises as well. was really fortunate because I think a lot of stuff from those days looks very experimental and doesn't really travel very well. But I still, and I made a couple of clips from that period that don't look very good now as well. But I think Always Something to Promise is really, really sort of stand a test. I think they still look good even today. I mean, I'm still proud of those two clips.
And certainly that song got a lot of airplay. I mean, you guys were played a lot on a station that now doesn't exist here in the New York City area, which is WLIR.
Right. Was that the Long Island?
That's right. Yeah, WLIR.
That's no more.
That is unfortunately no more.
Yeah, I do remember that though. I remember that they were one of the first stations that I did interviews with, and I went out to Long Island and spent time there.
Right. And they also, they also played When the Lights Go Out.
Yeah.
All of these singles that you guys had, and by the time of your I guess it was your second album.
Yeah.
What happened there? Because you guys seem to be on a roll.
I know.
And then, I mean, you had two really huge, one massive single, another one that was really huge. When the Lights Go Out did well. And I remember, what in the Name of Love? Yeah, that was the first single from the second album, and once again, it's sort of the luck or the bad luck in that case. I think we should have waited to record that album. I think the label really wanted us to get back in and record, and we were at the time trying to put together tours that a couple of them fell apart right at the last minute. One of them with the Motels and one with Hall & Oates, and we kind of we let ourselves be led back into the studio when we weren't really ready to record a second album. I mean, you've got to remember, the first album that any band does is being prepared for 2 or 3 years. Oh, sure.
Before they get in to do it. And so, the second album was rather rushed, and I think it's got some good songs on it, and I think some of the production was good, but it wasn't complete. It didn't. It wasn't as good an album as it should have been, and I think that coupled with the fact that in the record business, people that we had the people that signed us left the label,
right?
So we were so the new people coming in weren't that concerned about us, and this happens to everybody. So where there's a bit of bad luck and a bit of bad timing, and just life basically.
Yeah, but you guys didn't have a fight or anything like that.
No, we didn't. Basically, I think the reason that we decided to go separate ways was because I was spending more and more time. I got married in California,
right? And
I was spending more and more time out here. And Rob was, doing a lot of sessions in London, which led to his meeting with Simon Climie, and they got together and made a couple of albums. And I was, living in California and, looking for other options. I mean, I was recording stuff at Stevie Wonder's studio and doing various things. So, we in fact, we got together, we met in London and we had lunch, Rob and I, and we just said, let's go our separate ways. I mean, there wasn't a fight involved or anything.
Right.
So when we decided to get back together, or when we decided to start writing songs again, it was just like nothing had happened, basically. Right. I went over to his place in London, and we just started writing songs again. And then he came out to California, and we did some stuff out here, and and we just carried on like that for a while, up until the point that when he passed away. At that point I thought, well, I'm just going to put this down for a little bit, and just sort of just get back to the roots really. And I thought the best way to do that would be to instead of writing a whole load of acoustic songs, which wasn't really on the cards for me, I thought I'd just do covers of my favorite artists.
I want to play something from your Fumbling With The Covers record. Like I said, it came out back in 2007 last year. And I want to play your version of Elvis Costello's Man Out of Time from this album.
So this is where he came to hide.
But all the songs on there, I don't mean my songs so much, but the actual covers, it's such great songs. I mean, the Hendrix song I did, Little Wing, the Dylan song that I picked, You're Gonna Make Me Lonesome When You Go. I really love that. I love the Costello song. So, any of them is fine with me.
What was the impetus for making that record? Because it's generally an acoustic record.
Yeah.
And if anything, you're associated with synthesizers, or at least were back in 1980.
Well, yeah, I still am actually. I mean, the live shows that I do are electric with synths and full production and everything. I do a few acoustic shows, but not so many.
You're in the fortunate position. And I've talked to various people who have situations like this where you have a couple of songs that don't go away,
right?
And because of that, your name is sort of always out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that in my case especially, the songs are more well known than the name in any event. I mean, if you walked into anywhere and said Naked Eyes, maybe a small proportion of people would know who you're talking about. I mean, the name itself is not as well known as other bands' names, but the songs, if you mention the songs, everybody knows them.
Right.
So that's something I've been trying to do, and that's why when they asked me to do that Regeneration tour, I said, I think I will, because it'll give me a good chance to get out in front of the people that like Naked Eyes, Human League, ABC, people that like that music, and maybe not so aware of the band's name or whatever, and to connect with those people.
Well, thanks, Pete. Thanks for being on the show. We're going to close out with something brand new from you and Naked Eyes, The Movies I Dream. That's the name of the title of the song. Tell us a little bit about this new song.
It was actually a song. Movies I Dream was one of the first songs Rob and I ever wrote back in 1980.
I see.
And the only thing, we actually did a demo of it, but we never recorded it for the album, the first album, Motorcycle album. We never recorded it properly. The only version we ever did was with Neon, and with Kurt and Roland, and the problem with it was it just sounded like a rock band, so it was never used.
I get it.
So anyway, I've gone back and recorded it almost, in that way. It's recorded like, not recorded so much, but it sounds like an early 80s synth pop. If you go to nakedeyesmusic.com, it's on the what they call it. It plays when you load the page.
Little reel player, right.
Yeah,
okay.
so you can actually have a listen to it there.
Well, Pete, this has been great talking to you.
You too, man.
Have a great night. Talk to you later. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.